And on this 30th of August, 2021, standing here at Green Hill Cemetery near Main Street, Waynesville, North Carolina, which is right over that way. You can see the backside of Bogarts if I pan around there. I'm standing in front of the grave of my great-great-great-grandfather, Henry Pinkney McClure, son of William and Leanna McClure, buried just here. They called him Pink, and people in the community, and especially up at Sanook, called him Uncle Pink. And he is an interesting character. When the Civil War came along, he, having been born in 1844, was obviously old enough to fight, and so he was subject to conscription. He did not want to go. He and some others hid from those who were trying to impress them into service. They hid out in a cave up under the pinnacle, one of the ridges there above Sanook, until finally they found him, arrested him, took him over, put him in jail in Jackson County, and then he finally, though reluctantly, agreed to sign on and became a member of the North Carolina Thomas's Legion of the Confederate Army. And they sent him over to Tennessee, even with his mixed loyalties. But while he was over there, he had killed a rabbit one day with a rock, interestingly, not with his rifle. He killed it with a stone. He was able to throw it hard enough, get the rabbit, and he took it to a well to wash it up so it would be prepared for cooking. And he met a young lady there near Strawberry Plains, Tennessee, Sarah Jane Randalls. And he was taken by her, and he gave her the rabbit. She took it home to her family, which was very grateful. Pink continued on in his service, eventually skipping out of the Confederate Army and doing some service in the Union Army, but eventually he made his way back to Strawberry Plains and he married Sarah Randalls. And they had several sons there in that part of the country. But unfortunately, in the early 1880s, she became ill and died. And so Pink was left there with all of those boys, and he decided that he was coming back to Haywood County. So he loaded all of them up on a wagon, and he left, and he came through the area that is now Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg and up across what we now know as Highway 441 through Newfound Gap. Now you got to remember, back then that road, as windy as it is now, was a whole lot more narrow. And so Pink McClure, with his sons in tow, going up that narrow winding road, if you want to call it that, when they would meet someone coming in the opposite direction, both wagons, both rigs had to stop, and somebody's wagon had to be disassembled. And so they would do that, and if there was enough bank above them, they would throw the contents and the wagon disassembled up on the bank, stand the horses in line, let the other rig pass, and then they would put everything back together and both would go on their way. Now sometimes they couldn't throw things on the bank above them. It was just too steep. They had to build a breastwork and hang it out on the lower side of the road. So you can imagine it took them a long time to get across that mountain, but they finally did. Arrived at Balsam Gap, the old family farm there, where Pink's father unfortunately had been killed toward the end of the Civil War, or at least died as a result of injury inflicted on him when he was trying to defend the contents of his spring house. But his mother, Leanna, was there, and his sister, Winnie, was there, and Winnie especially took care of those boys and helped raise them. Now, Pink eventually remarried. He married Sarah Ellen Winchester, known as Sally, and had more children with her. Interesting thing about Pink is that he hung out up at the railroad area in Sanook, sometimes there at that little depot, that little three-sided shed, and he liked to whittle. I don't think he was known for being all that industrious when it came to work. Pink had a saying, the more I sets, the tireder I gets. The tireder I gets, the more I sets. And the older I get, the more I know how he felt. But that was Pink. And people, as I say, called him Uncle Pink, and he would hang out up there. And it's also of interest that in his later years, even though he had been what many around here called a turncoat, he applied for and received a pension from the state of North Carolina based on his Confederate service. Now, the family had all been loyal to the Union, And this caused a problem. My own great-great-grandfather, his son, had a falling out with him over that, and I don't think they ever spoke after Pink did that. My grandfather only remembered seeing his great-grandfather, Pinkney McClure, in his younger years. And they just didn't have anything to do with him because he had crossed over and decided to take that Confederate pension when their loyalty was with the Union. And so Pink died in 1926, still getting that pension from the state of North Carolina for his Confederate service. And oh, what a scandal it was. Now you know that story, and may God bless you.